So I'd like to begin with 3 sounds of the bell and inviting us to kind of let go of anything from earlier in the day, anything that's pulling us out of this moment, coming back to ourselves. Softening our tension, coming home to feel our body and our heart, and inviting our mind to settle down. And receive this gift of being together with our community, and this gift of really coming home to ourselves, to listen inside, to embrace what's there, whatever we're finding there. Dear Sangha, I feel very grateful to have this time together today. Our spiritual practice invites us to really expand how we usually think of love. I feel like in general most of us have been transmitted a picture of love that's very small, that's focused on largely on a romantic relationship. That kind of partnership is like the main body of our love, and then it might expand to our family a little bit, maybe a couple of special friends. And of course those sources of love can be wonderful, but in our spiritual practice, we're invited to see that the beings that we can be close to and the beings that we can share our feelings of loving kindness and compassion towards, it's really endless. That we think of what's close to us as just our partner, our family, but in fact we are part of a huge family. All of life really is our home. All of life is really our family. And for myself, even just thinking that a little bit, I already feel this shift in me. It's like my love, which was very sweet, goes from this small to like it just opens. It's interesting because sometimes we think that loving takes energy, but actually when we're practicing like metta meditation or opening our hearts, our feeling of connection, it actually can give us a lot of energy, because it's our feeling of separation largely that causes us to suffer, to feel lonely, to feel insecure. And it's that opening to know we are connected with everything, opening to kindness towards everything, that actually fills us up inside. It is a medicine for our suffering. So in our practice community, in this tradition, we often speak of each other as brothers and sisters. So that's already like planting that seed. I mean, of course, there are monastic brothers and sisters, and they're cultivating that kind of love that's expansive, and sees other human beings as like your brother and your sister that you can get to know, that you can be close to, that you can share your life with. And it's this open-heartedness to meet each human being as part of your family. But also in the lay sanghas, we're invited to cultivate that openness, that caring towards each other. So that's already growing our circle. And then, of course, it expands out from there. The Dharma also offers us so many tools that can build the skills that we need to have a really healthy relationship that's close for our more intimate relationships. When we were thinking about this day, it reminded me of an aspiration I have to have a whole retreat just based on love. I know last year we had a whole month with the days of mindfulness we were focused on it, and I'd love to have a retreat because there's so many rich practices that would be fun to go and do together. One of the teachings that we hear often are the teachings based on the 4 Brahma Viharas, 4 minds of love. And one of them is equanimity, which is it's like a exact medicine for what we're trained to do in our relationships that often sabotages our relationships, which is the grasping. Right? We're learned to have this one special love and grasp onto them, to hold on to them, to get all our happiness from them. So the Dharma invites us to bring a different quality. Equanimity, it means different things. I mean, part of the equanimity is having the open heart to meet not just our close family, but to open our heart for many people. But it also is an equanimity, meaning a non-grasping, a non-leaning on, to have some peacefulness in our own heart as a base for having a healthy relationship. I I try to bring this awareness into my relationship a lot, my close relationships, including with my parents, my children, and of course my partner. And last weekend, we had an unusual gift. It's only happened a few times since we've been married, since we had our first child, 16 years. We had 2 days alone without the children, and I was getting very excited about it a couple days before, and I started like planning out like all the things that I wanted to do with this time I had and this time with my partner, which there's not a whole lot of time where it's just us as adults. But I could feel as I was getting closer, this kind of grasping was creeping in, and I recognized it, and I recognized that in the past, if I have too much of that energy in my relationship, it ends up in disaster usually. Like the things I planned don't work out right, or if I'm looking to have my happiness fulfilled from my relationship with my partner, then I'm never going to have real happiness. Because the thing about it is that real happiness can't be born out of the grasping. Because when you're grasping, you're looking for something out there to make you feel whole and happy. And for me, that never ends up being satisfying, and I just get very frustrated, and kind of can ruin our special time together. So luckily, I remember that, like even before I got on the vacation, and I grounded it really deeply in my consciousness and my body. That okay, my happiness in this wonderful time I have is going to be founded on me being grounded and present and connected in myself, being fulfilled in myself and not cultivating that grasping energy, and being open to the happiness, the simple happiness that arises when I'm really present with myself, when I'm really present with my partner, and without the need and the expectation. And it was really helpful. I had free time, and a lot of my happiness moments of those 2 days were moments when I was just having the time actually to embrace myself, to listen in my own heart and give it space, give it attention. Moments where I would just sit and look at the sunshine outside the window and the snow, and receive the love of life and receive the love from myself. And from there, I also could enjoy being with my partner. And it was very nourishing. I feel so grateful that I've received the teachings that have opened myself to feel that I am part of life, that I am part of the earth, and therefore to be able to connect, to feel that connection that we often might look for just in an intimate partner relationship, but to feel that connection from the world around me at any time. I remember many, many years ago, a retreat at Ascutney in Vermont. It was before, I think that was before Green Mountain Dharma Center maybe, or right around the time when that center was opened. And An Hung, who's Thich Nhat Hanh's niece, was giving a Dharma talk. And she was talking about receiving the love from the blue sky, and how every day she could go out and receive the love from the blue sky. And that just like was a real eye-opener for me. And so I've been cultivating that practice of receiving the love from the earth, knowing that we are children of the earth, all of us, and we have earth in us. So I would like to have a little bit of time to do a guided meditation together. It will have different parts in it, some receiving love and some cultivating and offering love. So we can bring our awareness back inside. Coming home to ourselves. Feeling our body. Feeling our breath. Listening to what we feel and find inside. And coming home to ourselves, listening inside, offering ourselves an embrace, embracing ourselves with our mindfulness, with our loving kindness, holding what we find inside tenderly, with a lot of space. And becoming aware that we are children of the earth, and allowing ourselves to feel the support and the love of the earth. Feeling held by the mountains and the forests, the streams, aware that we are receiving the gifts of the earth every day, all the nourishment and nutriments, the gifts of fresh air with each breath, the gift of life, the gift of clear, living water. Earth inside of us, space, clear blue sky inside of us. And receiving the love of the sun, the sun shining radiant light and warmth on all things, with no discrimination, just offering, receiving that warmth, that light. And now we'll take a moment to send our love in a metta practice, sending our loving kindness to someone or to those who are close to us. May they be safe. May they know how to care for their suffering. May they be happy. May they be free. And now expanding our love, opening it up wider to our vast family, to the earth that is our home, that is ourself, the beautiful earth, and all the living beings, the forests, the animals, and the many people all over the earth. Experiencing joy, connection, suffering, and love. May we be safe. May we learn how to care for our suffering. May we know peace and contentment. May we be happy. May we be free. And bringing our awareness back to our own body, our own breath, as we listen to the sound of the bell together. Thank you for practicing together. I'm going to invite Honey Bear to share now his practice with us. Thank you, Honey Bear.
I'm unmuted now, yeah? Okay, thanks. Everyone's on this screen, so if I look sideways, I'm looking at you. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. I have been invited to share my own special off-brand Dharma, and happy to do that. A little intimidated, but here I am. I see so many people here who could be giving this talk right now, so deeply humbled. I guess I wanted to share that the Dharma is a vast and tonka tough vehicle. So if you hear something today that works for you, great. And if you don't, keep coming back. I guarantee you'll hear something that'll work for you. When Sarah asked me to do this talk about love, I felt a little incredulous and then immediately thought of the theme song from Love Boat. And I love singing that song sometimes. And I heard Fern earlier say that we received trainings around love at an early age. And so certainly the Love Boat was one of my first classes in love. And there's a line in that, in the song, that love won't hurt anymore. And I was always suspicious of that line. But anyway, love, what is love? I don't know. I think I often say that love is not a noun, it's a verb, and there's a good song to that end. It's an action, it's a way of being. It's also something that has been a lifesaver in my life. For me, the background I came from and where I come in with spirituality and the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha is I kind of have to, this has to work for me, if you will. That's a strange way of putting it. And, but for me, I learned things the hard way. I've learned things the hard way and I've done it the long way. And the practice of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha and the metta meditation and learning how to work that in my life has been instrumental in me staying on this planet. I mean, this sounds maybe hyperbolic, but dramatic, but truly the difficulties of life have been challenging. And so one of the trainings I received around loving kindness was the practice of receiving love. And so I want to invite you in this moment to just relax a little, relax your mind, if you will, and recall a benefactor in your life. It could be the family dog, or a teacher, or a parent, or a grandparent, someone you know, someone who saw something in you, someone who you fully trust, their desire and their wish for your well-being. And just take a moment to savor the presence of that person and their energy in your mind. I'm just going straight into how I practice this. There won't be a lot of theory today. So this is how I practice. I recall someone who's seen something in me, something good, and they have a genuine desire for my well-being and happiness. And I picture them right in front of me right now. And they're sending me this wish, this desire for my well-being. And I don't know, for me, there's so much that can come up in just receiving that wish, how it lands in my body, how it lands in my mind. And I could spend another hour just being with that. And for me, it kind of helps point me in the direction I want to allow and expand my presence. I think for me, oftentimes I get in touch with a fearful part, a part of me that's scared. And as I sit with that part of me, I can feel it in my body. I can feel my organism, this hands feel tingly and sweaty and numb and cold, and my heart feels different, different things. It feels a little anxious. It feels a little jumpy. It feels still. It feels sometimes frozen and warm, and it's just this continuous movement. And I'm telling you this just to encourage you to menu that sensation in your body. And what I've noticed for myself is that part of me that is scared is longing for love. It's yearning to know that the precious life inside is going to be received with acceptance and non-judgment and allowing. And I'm talking about the energy. I'm not talking about some of the behaviors. This sometimes can be confusing for people. When we can be with the energy in our body and the energy in our mind, what I begin to notice is that suffering becomes a story. There's this overlay. There's a lot of overlay. I could spend a lot of time doing overlay. But underneath that overlay is just this energy. For me, my benefactors are people who helped model how to be with the energy. And that can look all sorts of different ways, but before there was the action, there was the presence with the longing. So here I am in my practice, receiving this love and noticing the energy in my body. And this energy has a quality I call fear. And as I'm with that energy, I continue to just notice this movement and flow. It's changing, it's dynamic. Sometimes there's a storm of image and word, sensation, memories, meaning, but it just keeps on going. I just come back with my intention to be present, receiving that wish for my well-being. And over time, I notice that I am able to cultivate or allow or grow, expand a capacity of becoming larger, more generous, and with my body and with my awareness. And this field of holding becomes more stable and more grounded. And I continue to notice that shift. So I'm noticing the shift. I'm really allowing and accepting this wish for my well-being. And I'm noticing how it resonates in my body now. It's shifted from turbulence and struggle or various energy patterns. And now it's just become this calm, warm presence. And what I notice for myself is presence isn't something I do, it's something I allow, I relax into, and it's always there. I'm actually wanting to enjoy some of that right now, so I'm just going to pause. Pretend you heard a bell. So that's it. That short piece can be applied, has been, and I do apply in my life. Oftentimes, I need to be reminded to apply it by my Sangha brothers and sisters, and Mary Beth, and Jaxie, my dog. But The more I practice, the more I can hear the call to practice, and I know what to do. There's another piece that happens with this is once I'm in this ground of presence, once I let my weight down, I think an image I really love around presence is the idea of when you're on an, I don't know about you, but when I'm on an airplane and there's turbulence, I kind of lift myself out of the seat like I'm gonna kind of not fall 35,000 feet because I've got my arms on these handrests. And this relaxation is like, oh, actually I'm 35,000 feet in the air, and buy the ticket and take the ride. And this is just relaxing into the seat, relaxing in the presence. It's there. So with this quality, I notice that I have an innate generosity and tenderness and desire and compassion to share this wish for well-being. It could be with more parts of myself, if you allow for, like, maybe we are made of multitudes, but it also could be directed outward. And so this is the practice that Fern did, directing it outward. Why is that helpful and beneficial? I mean, it sounds nice. It sounds like a nice thing to do, what a nice person would do. And I've hearing that in my head, I immediately go, I'm not a nice person, so I can't do that. But what I do notice is I am a fearful person. And when I see a stranger, when I see someone or something that I'm not familiar with, I feel fear. And that fear separates me from the essence. And here I go up in the airplane seat again, tense and holding myself above the experience, but not really doing anything except feeling fear and tight. So this sending, for me, love outward is helpful for me to relax. And so does a kind of an aspiration I'll share with you is that someday I hope to practice in a way where I don't see a stranger. And I'll tell you, I still do, but I'm getting closer to that ideal. Some days I do see a stranger, and when I do, I feel the fear, and I know it's time to practice some compassion for myself and come back and receive that from that benefactor. Anyway, this practice starts with people. So when we're going outward, you can direct it to people you love. I find that can be very difficult. I find I enjoy picking someone who bagged the groceries, or I don't know, someone I don't really know. It's easier. And then I move into people I love. This brings me to, check the clock. Okay, 10 minutes. This brings me to a practice around people I love. The physics seem to shift. It seems to change. With the people I love, there's a quality of mattering and urgency. And what I can notice for myself is I can notice moving from fear and beginning to think I'm angry. And thus anger is putting me in touch with, in a very naked way, what I'm valuing most. It's also telling me that I'm not allowing vulnerability and presence again. And so I might have gone from holding myself in the airplane seat up like this and run up and started banging on the cabin at the pilot and say, I need to drive this airplane. This is a very difficult practice. In my experience of practicing love in anger. I don't know about you, but for me, anger has a quality of urgency, and nothing else is going to happen until da 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 da. So I find that when I'm angry, it's probably better just to try and sit down and not doing anything. It's easier to practice with anger when I'm not angry. It's easier to practice with many things when they're not truly big time up for me. And when they do come up for me, I can relax and fall to the level of training and practice that I've done for that. And that's really what's going to happen anyway. There's an old general from Greece who says we never rise to our aspiration. We always fall to the level of our training. So in this way, practicing loving kindness, touching the earth, admitting to yourself when you're angry, admitting to yourself when you're afraid, and allowing with compassion and love the vulnerability and the life being protected by those energies, and steeping into the presence of that longing and that life energy. Will build your capacity, will build my capacity, will build all of our capacities. I've noticed that sometimes I get angry and I go, oh, I'm feeling angry. Oh, it's almost, it's not quite communicating with words, but the energy is like waking up in a dream. If you've ever done that, it's like that. Oh, I'm dreaming. What am I dreaming about? Now I think I'm dreaming about that no one really understands me. No one ever gets me. And I'm completely separated and alone. Oh, So you'd like to not be alone. And I immediately can come back with that awakeness. There's a capacity, it's right there. I'm not even faking it. And I feel really grateful for that. And I also need to feel, or want to feel, accepting and grateful when I'm not able to do that. But that's a story for a different day. So I just want to share that, like, there's nothing of value can be taught. We can only kind of remind each other and encourage each other. And so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I know that you are some really smart, hardworking, spiritually badasses people. Strange sentence there. I know that. I'm just, you know how we can encourage and encourage each other. And so I'm encouraging you and reminding myself to practice this receiving and sending. And this practice of sending and receiving is a way of exercising our belonging to everything and everyone. And with that belonging, I feel a sense of being released from my own fear. And that is a pretty awesome thing. Yeah. I want to share a poem because, or a song, or both, I don't know. It's my time. And you get to, it's great. I get to do what I want here. Long within certain bounds. Okay. How's everyone doing? Most people seem awake still. That's good for you now. I think too, one other thing I wanted to just touch on, but just briefly, is this practice of love. It really informs your action of love. And so that when you are loving in action, you're loving in a way that the object of your love, the person, the situation, whatever, you're speaking their love language. That's just short of it, I guess. In ways that are meaningful to them rather than to me. Not that they're mutually exclusive, but sometimes I do things more focused on what I'd like than what the person would like. If I practice love more, the loving kindness, when I do love, it seems to land for the person and the people better. So I'll just leave it like that. Again, nothing you don't already know. I know. This is a poem from David White called Self-Portrait. And I'd like to read it. I enjoy reading it as if I'm reading it to myself, as if I'm talking to myself, as if I'm my own benefactor, wishing and wondering, how is it to be you? And it's called Self-Portrait. It doesn't interest me if there's one God or many gods. I want to know if you belong or feel abandoned. If you can know despair or see it in others. I want to know if you are prepared to live in the world with its harsh need to change you. If you can look back with firm eyes, saying, this is where I stand. I want to know if you know how to melt into the fierce heat of living, falling toward that center of your longing. I want to know if you are willing to live day by day with the consequence of love and the bitter, unwanted passion of your sure defeat. I have heard in that fierce embrace, even the gods speak of God. So I'm wishing you a wonderful falling toward that center of your longing, and to hold it or let it go, and then hold it and let it go with compassion and gentleness and a real wish for your own well-being and happiness.